There was no positive role models around me. I was out having sex when I was young, but I did not find any role models around my family or anywhere that I could identify with. It took me coming to America and coming to New York and finding Tom of Finland to have that role model.
When we looked at his work, they weren't just models or physique guys or bodybuilders. We actually saw an earnest, queer relationship. The way they looked at each other was so much different than any of the imagery we'd had before. So Tom of Finland really gave us the earliest queer images.
He heard so many young men tell him that he was so fundamentally important in their lives because what he'd given them.
This is the first time the work of Tom of Finland appeared in 1957, was on the cover of this very issue. It was actually Bob Miser who gave Tom the name Tom of Finland. Tom's real name was Tuko Loksonen. It was a little bit for Bob to pronounce, and he didn't think most people could pronounce it. So it was quite the fashion of the day. They had hairdressers and photographers. There was Lon of New York and Bruce of LA, and so he became Tom of Finland. Tom did resist a little bit, saying that he didn't necessarily represent all of Finland, but with some reservation, he did think, well, maybe he won't use his family name out of some consideration to them. So he became Tom of Finland.
I was one of Tom's muses over the years. And what a muse is the spark. The spark that lights the flame, and then whatever happens with that flame in creativity as an artist, you really have to step away from it as a muse because you're not really you're not part of that part.
Durk met Tom through a little ad on a bar wall.
I was 26 and I was in New York City, and my life was just opening up like a big old flower, and I saw this drawing, little tiny drawing on a bulletin board in the Spike Bar in New York City, and I thought, my God, that image.
He said, I have to know who this artist is. This artist totally spoke to Durk.
I just found it to be so compellingly sexy and desirable and full of just essence. And well, the next day I asked a friend of mine who was also an artist if he knew who did this piece, and he went, oh yeah, that's Tom of Finland. In my experience in life, there's providence. And how that works is that people come into each other's lives for a reason at a certain time. And I came into Tom's life at a time when he was losing his partner of 28 years to cancer. And I wasn't a replacement. I was the next era for him. And one era was ending and a new era was beginning. And I had a job. And my job was to actually take care of him and to make his life be better. So I invited Tom to come and live here in my house. I wanted him to be here and to have a home in LA. And up in the uppermost part of the house, there is a room, and it is his room. And it was always his room from the first time that he came to stay here. But his pattern was to get up in the morning and he'd go and clean himself in the bathroom, and then he would come down and he'd make himself some coffee, and then he would walk out the back door and go down the stairs to the lower terraces and sit on a stoop. And the cats and dog would always follow him, and they just like to sit there and look. And so he would look and they would look, and he would just be there half an hour. He loved the California mornings, the sunshine, and especially here on this side of the house, he got to be in some of the moist shadow and the trees, and so he enjoyed that. And then he would go back and he would go upstairs, and he could get away, he could shut off the door, and he could actually draw and never come out of there for hours. And many times he would leave a party that was happening on the main floor after he'd enjoyed enough of it, and he'd go and he'd draw.
Durk and Tom co-founded the foundation. We have so many visitors here, so many people come here on pilgrimages to pay homage to their idol, their hero, Tom of Finland.